Brought to you by Sunbeam, the best electric appliances made. The deluxe Sunbeam Mixmaster food mixer, the beautiful Sunbeam automatic percolator, and the Sunbeam radiant control toaster. Now, let's all play What's My Line?
And now let's meet our award-winning panel of What's My Line. First, the popular columnist whose voice of Broadway appears in papers coast to coast, Miss Dorothy Kilgallen.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Very soon, Radio City Music Hall is going to show a wonderful picture about the life of Franz Liszt called Song Without End. And the star of it is our guest panelist tonight, Mr. Dirk Bogarde.
Now it's my honor and privilege to introduce somebody you know very well indeed, and who, starting tomorrow, takes over today, if you know what I mean, through the month of August. Miss Arlene Francis.
And now a gentleman whose column in this week's magazine gets so many laughs all over the country that he's known as Chuckles Cerf.
Well, after all that bombastic and archaic oratory we listened to at the two conventions, I think it's a pleasure to encounter a man who scarcely ever says a word at all. Believe it or not, I'm referring to our MC, Silent John Daly.
I think Chuckles is in good form tonight. Don't you? Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to What's My Line. Once again tonight, we're up to our old tricks. We have some interesting occupations, some very nice people who brought them to the theater, and our purpose is to see if we can puzzle the panel completely. We'll also have a famous mystery guest a little bit later in the show, and we'll meet our first challenger after this word. And now let's meet our first contestant. Will you enter and sign in, please? Sherry Lynn Patesell, right?
Yes.
Miss or Mrs. Patesell? Miss Patesell. And I think it's only fair, panel, to tell you that Miss Patesell is a Skidmore Junior. Is that right?
Yes, it
and
is.
so we're talking about what she does in the summertime. Where are you from, Miss Patesell?
Flushing.
Flushing?
Yes.
That's part of New York City, so you must know the panel. Miss Patesell, the panel?
How do you
Will
do?
you join me over here, please? Now, do you know how we score What's My Line?
No, I don't.
Well, every time you give a no answer to the panel properly, we flip a card, and if we get 10 flips in before they guess why you're here, you have won the game.
I have.
All righty?
Well,
Now let's let the audience at home and our friends in the theater audience know exactly what your line is. All right, panel, we will tell you that Miss Patesell is salaried and that she deals in a service. And let's begin the general questioning with Dorothy Kilgallen.
Miss Patesell, do you work for a profit-making organization?
Yes, I do.
Could a man do what you do?
Yes.
Are there, in fact, men doing what you do?
Not that I know of.
Well, now, I think here we're in a general category. Yes, I think we better consult. Just a moment, please.
I knew that was coming.
Yes.
In the general category, yes.
Do you do any of your work indoors?
Pardon?
Do you do any of your work indoors?
Yes.
Would you say you did most of your work indoors? Do you do it in the daytime?
Yes.
Do people come to you,
Yes.
both men and women?
Yes.
Ever children?
Yes.
And do you give them anything?
Would you say yes or no?
I think here the question is asked in the physical sense of giving something of physical property to another individual.
Giving them, selling, handing them something.
Handing them something.
Yeah.
No,
No.
that would have to give you a no on that. That's 1 down and 9 to go, Mr. Bogarde.
Good evening. This service you perform for men, women, and for children. Do you have to wear a special kind of uniform for this job to do this service?
Yes.
Is this uniform a protective uniform?
No.
No,
I don't think so.
I don't think we can describe it as protective, Derek. That's 2 down and 8 to go, Miss Francis.
It's protective in that it covers the subject.
Well, let's not predicate too much on that.
Is there anything protective or instructive about what you do?
No.
That makes it 3 down and 7 to go,
Not
Mr. Cerf.
protective?
Miss Patzell, does what you wear when you're doing this work, would it be less than you're wearing now?
Yes. Teeny weeny eeny polka dot bikini. Not quite.
Does your work ever carry you anywhere near the water?
No, I would say no. I think we'd mislead them. You're too kind. That's 4 down and 6 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
When you say that you wear less than you're wearing now, is this a costume that could be worn out of doors by anybody, not necessarily by you?
Well, it is a physical possibility, but...
It's a physical possibility, and the costume could be worn... Wait, let me have a small conference.
Very clever. Yes.
Yeah, we'd have to agree, Dorothy, that there are circumstances under which this could be worn outdoors and it would cause no excursions or alarms.
Is it shorter than the dress that you're wearing now?
Yes.
It is, though, outer attire. In other words, it is not something that would be concealed by a dress or a suit if you were wearing it where it was appropriate to wear it.
No.
Could you ever wear it in any sense in connection with athletics or sports or games?
Athletics, sports, or games? I would think the answer to that would be you wouldn't, so we'll have to give you a no. Right? 5 down and 5 to go.
As
Derek?
we're on this subject of garments, does this uniform, for the sake of the word, does it vary from time to time?
Yes.
Would you be most likely to wear this uniform on a stage?
Yes.
Are you a Rockette?
Yes.
Very good. Actually, that is... Miss Batesell is the Rockette in the summer. As I told you, she's a junior going into junior year at Skidmore. More than that, she is Miss New York and is going to be in the Miss America contest when it comes later this year. And although I suppose in this position we shouldn't show favoritism, I think I speak for all of the panel and certainly speak for all of us on the program. We say good luck in Atlantic City in that Miss America contest.
I'm going to be a judge at that contest.
You're going to be a what?
I'm going to be a judge at the Miss America.
Well, here's a problem of ethics we've run head-on into, isn't it? Well, I wasn't speaking for Bennett, then. We'll have to be sure. Then I'm going to have to say for the rest of us, Bennett's going to have to be impartial. But for the rest of us, we hope you win Miss America.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you for being our guest. Nice to have you. You know, I'd forgotten, Chuckles, that it's your habit to be a judge. Chuckles.
What was that again?
Chuckles, you must, when you're called, you've got to... Oh, I say, I think, Arlene, you get something for this.
I'll tell you what you're going to get.
I'd forgotten, Chuckles, that you made it a habit to be a judge at Miss America contest, and I hope I haven't in any way mixed things up for you, because we know you'll be absolutely impartial in these affairs.
Yes.
But if she happens to win...
Then we'll have another go at it, Dorothy. That's what we'll do. Let's meet our next contestant. Will you enter and sign in, please? Sid Simons.
Right.
Where are you from, Mr. Simons?
Chicago.
Chicago.
Right.
Well, may I present the panel? Mr. Simons.
How do you do?
Join me over here. Just came from Chicago, as a matter of fact. Yesterday went out...
Yes, I imagine you were there all last
I
week.
was there all last week.
Of course.
Went out to Arlington Park yesterday and gave the trophy away for the big fraternity and
Really?
missed seeing you there. Because I will tell you quite frankly, panel, I know Mr. Simons, so that this will not surprise you that we should speak so familiarly of his hometown.
And I watched you every night last week.
Oh, that's good. This is the wrong network to say that on, but that's all right. You know how we keep scores, Ted.
Yes, of
All right,
course.
if you know how we keep scores, Ted, let's let the audience in the theater and the folks at home know exactly what your line is. All right, now we're back to the beginning, and we can tell you, panel, that Mr. Simons is self-employed and that he deals in a service, and we'll begin the general questioning with Chuckles.
Mr. Simons, you come from Chicago, and you know John Daly. Did you have anything whatever to do with the Republican convention just closed?
Yes.
You were self-service.
Right.
Did you have any occasion to work with John in any way in the covering of this convention?
No.
That's 1 down and 9 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Did you spend some of your time at the site of the convention?
Yes.
Were you there when the festivities, or whatever word you use for it, were going on?
Yes.
Were there other people working with you or under you?
No.
That's 2 down and 8 to go, Mr. Bogarde.
Do you have to use, in the service you perform, do you have any kind of equipment that is particular to this job you do?
Yes.
Is it a piece of equipment that is containable about your person?
No.
That's 3 down and 7 to go, Miss Francis.
It is not on your person.
No.
Is that clear?
That's right.
I
It's not
see.
something you carry in your pockets, for instance.
I see. Do you have anything to do yourself with protection of some kind?
No.
4 down and 6
I
to go,
can't get
Mr.
anybody to
Cerf.
protect anybody.
Mrs. Simons, do you have anything whatever to do with photography or publicity?
No.
5 down and 5 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Mr. Simon, since you work alone, not with anybody or not over anybody, and since you worked at the convention, may I assume that you do your job at other places, at other times?
Yes.
Do you have anything to do with something patriotic?
No.
6 down and 4 to go, Mr. Bogarde.
This piece of equipment I must come back to. It's my only clue. You said, I think I'm right in saying you did use equipment with you which could not be contained upon your person.
That's right.
Right. Do you have to use this equipment? Is it the ultimate product, the end product of what you are doing? I mean,
Yes.
it does make it.
Yes.
Is it made of metal?
No.
Not.
That's 7 down and 3 to go, Miss Francis.
Would I be correct in assuming this has nothing to do with the teleprompting system that people read when they want to make their speeches? You have nothing to do
You
with
would be
that
correct
whatsoever.
in so assuming, yes.
But do you have something to do with people that are running for office in the hope of nomination or favorite sons and so forth?
No.
Well,
Nothing
now, it's a
direct-
small conference. The question is, do you have something to do with the people who are running for the nominations or
Yes.
something? I think the answer would be that probably yes and possibly no.
Because some of them aren't running.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Possibly yes and possibly no.
that's right.
I bow to his superior wisdom.
We all do, my dear man, we all do.
Except Chuck.
Except Chuckles. Do you have anything to do with equipment that is used in the business of broadcasting?
We would have to accept in the most general sense And it would have to be general to a degree that stretching the rubber as far as you can, that he has something to do with equipment that is associated with broadcasting.
When you say stretching the rubber, you're not referring to cables or anything like that, are you?
No.
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 Would you like me to pass to you, Bennett?
Sure, I have a...
Second time. Go ahead.
I'd like to ask if in any way you might use a typewriter in your work.
No.
That's 8 down and 2 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Were you ever seen or heard by the delegates at the convention?
Was I ever seen or heard by them? Yes.
He cleared the aisle.
Yes.
But wait a minute, I think, do you mean here in terms of appearing on the rostrum?
No, not necessarily. I mean, singing backstage if he were heard over a microphone or if he played the organ.
But are
or
you speaking of the delegates en masse?
En masse.
En masse.
Or
That
a
would
large
make it
group.
9 down and 1 to go, Derek.
This audience seemed, or part of it seemed to know and recognize you. At least it appeared to me for the first time. Is it because they know your face or because they know your name?
It could be both.
It could be both.
Yes.
Are you connected with a newspaper?
No.
No, that's 10 down and no more to go. And Derek's out of it, but Miss Kilgallen, Miss Francis, and Mr. Cerf. Such short memories.
Yes.
Isn't it something?
Yes.
After all, Mr. Simons made all 3 of you up when we did our program from Chicago in the 1956 conventions, remember?
I just couldn't believe that Mr. Simons made any of those people up. They seemed so real.
Now, actually, to clarify everything, Mr. Simons was engaged by the Republican Party to make up the principals who would appear on the rostrum.
Did you make up the Democrats, too?
He has in
No,
past years,
I have
but he
in the
wasn't in
past,
Los
but not
Angeles.
this one. No.
Who needed the most makeup?
You know, it's strange.
Bennett, when he was there in 1956.
Yeah, I was
That's
there.
right, isn't it? But he made up most of the luminaries of the Republican Party before they appeared on the rostrum, and made us up in this. This is why, actually, I was a little catching my tongue when I told you that I knew him. I
remember
figued you
now,
might
yeah.
go back to
I
1956.
thought that was a tip-off the moment you said it.
Well, I could have...
That was a big hint. That was a typical daily hint.
Well, thank you
It's
very
been a
much. It was
pleasure,
fun to have
believe
you
me.
on What's My
Wonderful
Line
seeing you.
as a guest. We'll meet tonight's mystery guest in just a moment, but first, here is a word from our sponsor. And now we come to the special feature of our program, the appearance of our mystery celebrity, for which my colleagues on the panel and Chuckles are blindfolded, as you well know. Are the blindfolds all in place, panel? The blindfolds all in place, panel?
Yes, John.
Is yours in place, Chuckles? Will our mystery challenger enter and sign in, please? All right. Panel, as you know, in the case of our mystery guest, we go to a different form of questioning. You ask one question at a time, in turn, moving clockwise. And we'll begin it all with Arlene Francis.
Are you here to publicize a picture which is about to open? Did they go already?
We're having a small conference.
Don't
Be
go
back
away,
in a minute.
man.
Would you rephrase your, do it again, Arlene?
What I said was, are you here to publicize, or are you in the East to publicize a picture that might be about to open?
No, ma'am.
1 down, 9 to go, Mr. Cerf.
Well, what could they have thought I said?
Have you anything to do with the legitimate stage?
No, sir.
2 down and 8 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Have you anything to do with a picture which has already opened?
Yes, ma'am.
Dirk Bogarde.
Have you been in the movie industry for longer than 12 years?
Yes.
Miss Francis?
Well, that's still a baby in my estimation. Are you a leading woman?
Yes.
Mr. Cerf?
Would the picture that you have been in be either portrait in black or from the terrace?
Yes.
Miss Kilgallen?
Were you ever rather prominently associated with a sweater?
Prominently associated with a sweater?
No, ma'am.
3 down and 7 to go. Mr. Bogarde?
Were you associated at one time mostly with a high form of sophisticated comedy?
Yes, sir.
Miss Francis?
Well, I have to go back to the pictures. Was it on the terrace or from the terrace? The picture.
Yes.
Mr. Cerf?
Well, you're not Lana Turner, that's right.
No,
It was
that's
from the
what
terrace.
it is. From the terrace.
From the terrace.
Your picture.
Yes, it's
Bennett.
Joan Wood. Well, I was
No.
mixing up the two. Joan Woodward and Ina Bowen.
Myrna Loy.
Myrna Loy.
Actually, Dirk, I think you had it when you asked the question about
I was
sophisticated
beginning
comedy.
to wonder.
What did you have in mind?
What?
The thin
The
man.
thin man.
The
Thin
Thin
Man,
Man.
yeah.
I thought you had it then, but you...
Because you didn't
We had
disguise
to
your
say it
voice
first.
terribly well just at the very beginning.
Aye. Well, how wonderful to have you with us.
Oh,
Golly,
thank
day.
you.
It's a pretty girl. Real pretty girl. And a fine actress. And Bennett, this was for you. I'm glad you got it. He'd never forgiven me if he hadn't finally gotten it.
You played such a drunken lady in that picture.
That's no excuse
Well.
for not getting her. It's only a part, Bennett.
I hope so.
Miss Myrna, thank you very much for being our guest. It's wonderful to have you on What's My Line. We'll have another contestant after this word from our alternate sponsor. Now will our next contestant enter and sign in, please? Frank? Prudenti, is that right? We're very short of time, Frank, so will you just come over with me and I'll fill in the details. Panel, Mr. Prudenti is from New York City, and we will let the folks in the theater and those at home know exactly what his line is. All right. Panel, we will tell you this. Mr. Prudenti's occupation is rather special. It has a special significance. He's salaried, he deals in a service, and we'll begin the general questioning with Dirk Bogarde.
Good evening. Do you wear a uniform to perform the service?
Yes.
If I saw you in this uniform, I would immediately know what service you performed.
Yes.
Is it in the government, a service within the government?
No.
1 down to 9 to go, Miss Francis.
Does it have anything to do with sports?
Yes.
Is it the sport of baseball?
Yes.
Are you a ball boy or a water carrier?
No.
No.
2 down and 8 to go, Mr. Cerf.
Are you connected with one of the, with a major league team in any way?
Yes.
Would it be the Yankees?
Yes.
Do you wear a uniform?
Yes.
Yes.
You're not on the regular roster of the New York Yankees, are you?
Roaster? He had
Roaster.
cooked for years. Chuckles, you mustn't make these kind of gags.
Have you anything to do? Do you appear on the playing field during the course of it?
This is wonderful because you're
Not a bat boy.
Bat boy.
We said not a bat boy.
This was wonderful. Arlene said ball boy, and the wonderful part about it is that Frank is a bat boy just promoted from ball boy this year. He's now the bat boy for the Yankees.
Well, you
Frank,
could have
we'll flip
promoted
all
me,
these over
too.
right off the bat.
Thank you, Mr. Dale.
Thank you very much for being our guest. I told you it was a special occupation. Well, congratulations, panel. He's a wonderful boy. On this happy note of going out on the rise, good night, Miss Dorothy Kilgallen.
That's all right. Good night, Chuckles. Good night, Dirk.
Good night, Dirk, and good night, dear boy. I won't call you Chuckles anymore.
Right after the show's over, I'm choking Arlene. Good night, John.
Don't you let him.
Good night, Bennett. And good night, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for being with us on What's My Line?
What's My Line is a CBS television network production in association with Mark Goodson and Bill Cotton.